Math 1332, Chapter 7, Consumer Mathematics, Section 5, Installment Buying, Video 6, Early Payoff, the Actuarial Method for Calculating Unearned Interest. Sometimes when you get into an installment plan, you do it because you can't afford to pay the entire amount. I mean, that's usually why people get into installment plans. But during the term of the plan, things change. Maybe you get a different job. Maybe you get a loan. Maybe you get an inheritance. Maybe you just run into some extra money. And being the frugal person you are, you decide, I want to go ahead and pay off this installment plan. We haven't reached the end, but I want to pay it off. Well, when you pay off early, you have something called unearned interest. When they calculate interest, the presumption is the interest is calculated for the term of the plan. But if you cut that term short, then the tail end of it, no interest is accumulated because you're not borrowing money over that time. So to pay off your plan, you don't just say, let me write a check for the remaining balance of the plan, because there's interest that you shouldn't have to pay for paying it off early. And there are various ways to calculate the unearned interest, and one is called the actuarial method. So like I just said, one way to save money on a fixed installment loan, aka an installment plan, is to pay it off early. This allows you to avoid paying the entire finance charge. The amount of the finance charge that is saved when a loan is paid off early is called unearned interest. There are two methods for calculating unearned interest, or at least two methods that we'll discuss in this class. One is called the actuarial method, and one is called the rule of 78. Of course, in this video, we're going to discuss the actuarial method. The actuarial method uses the APR table and the following formula. The formula is U equals a fraction. On the top of it is K times R times H. On the bottom of it is 100 plus H. And notice that I already put parentheses around both sides of this fraction, since both sides of this fraction contain more than a single number. And here's what all the variables mean. Lowercase u is the unearned interest. In other words, the interest saved by paying off early. K is the number of payments remaining, excluding the current payment. Capital R is the monthly payment, and H is the finance charge for $100 for a loan with the same APR and K monthly payments. We'll explain what all that means when we get to an example. Now, there's one hang up in using this formula, and it's the value of H. Because the value of H assumes that we already know the APR for the installment plan that we're in. And if we don't know the APR, then we have to calculate the APR like we did in the previous video. Let's take a look at an example. Jason bought a truck for $29,725. He made a down payment of $10,000 and paid $454 monthly for 4 years. Find the APR, which we will need for part B. Jason was able to pay off his loan at the end of 30 months. Using the actuarial method, find the unearned interest and the payoff amount. Now, I'll admit that when you do things like this, the lending institution does all the calculations for you. But it's nice to have the wherewithal and the ability to figure these things out for yourself, not just to say, ooh, look, I figured it out for myself, but to make sure that the numbers that you're provided are correct. I have actually done this for things that I've paid off my own. I sat down and did the math so that when I contacted the lending institution, I knew what to expect. And luckily, they told me the numbers to expect. So it's always good to, to cover your own back by knowing the math in advance. All right, let's get started. Jason bought a truck. Okay, find the APR. Well, we're going to have to do an APR problem first because we're going to need the APR to use the actuarial method. So for part A, let's recall that for the APR, and let's just go to the APR table to remind ourselves of these things. Where's the APR table? Here it is, still marked up from the previous video. So give me a second to erase all these markings. There we go. I'll go away. All right, so recall that for the APR table, to look up the number at the top, we need to know the number of payments, which is easy to figure out. It's 4 years, so it's 48 payments. But we also need to know the finance charge for $100 of amount financed. And the formula for the finance charge per $100 of amount financed, let's get this started. Finance charge per 100, let's just say that for short, is equal to the finance charge. There we go. It's equal to the finance charge divided by the amount financed times 100. So we gotta calculate that, but in order to do that, we first have to figure out the finance charge and the amount financed. Let's start with the amount financed. The amount financed is how much we still owe after the down payment. The truck costs $27,725. Jason's making a down payment of $10,000. So the amount financed is $19,725. The finance charge is the difference between everything we pay and the cost of the truck. Well, what we paid was the $10,000 down payment plus $454 for 4 years. But 4 years is 48 months. So 48, and I don't need this open parentheses here, plus 48 payments of $454 minus the cost of the truck, $29,725. 10,000 plus 48 times 454. This is what we're paying for the truck. $31,792 minus the cost of the truck, $29,725. We are paying an extra $2,067 for this truck, which in the big picture really isn't that bad. What's the finance charge per 100? That would be the finance charge, which we just calculated is $2,067, divided by the amount financed, $19,725, times $100. 2,067 divided by 19,725 times 100 to the nearest cent, $10.48. And now that we have the finance charge per 100, let's highlight it so that it stands out. Now that we have this, and we know that it takes 48 payments, we can use the APR table to look up the APR. 48 payments is this row. We go across until we find the number closest to $10.48. So let's just go across until we find it. Oh, it's this one. Pretty sure it's this one. Let's erase that for a second. This is only 6 cents more than $10.48. This is $1.02 below. So there's no question which number in the row is closest to $10.48. It is the $10.54. And if we look up, that means our APR is 5%. So let's say that. Using the APR table, the APR is 5.00%. All right, we got the first question answered. What is the APR? And remember, we're going to need that for the second part. So let's go to the next page and do the second part. For part B, Jason's going to pay off his loan at the end of 30 months, and using the actuarial method, we'll find the unearned interest and payoff amount. Let's bring the actuarial method formula for unearned interest into this page. We will need a lot of information to use this formula. We will need the number of payments remaining excluding the current payment, which we can figure pretty easily. The monthly payment, which is given to us, it's $554, and the finance charge per $100 for a loan with the same APR and K monthly payments. Let's start with that, shall we? The finance charge per $100 for a loan with the same APR and K monthly payments. Well, we just figured out the APR in the previous part. Our APR was 5.00%. But what is the K? K is the number of payments remaining excluding the current payment. All right, so let this sink in. You've made the first payment, the second payment, the third payment, all the way up to the 29th payment, and it's time to make the 30th payment. But instead of just the 30th payment, you're going to pay off the whole thing. So K is the number of payments remaining excluding the current payment. We've paid off 29. We are currently at the 30th payment. How many payments remain beyond that? 4 years is 48 payments. We are at the 30th payment, so we are excluding that one. That means that K is equal to 48 payments minus 30 payments, which is 18 payments. Now you might be saying, but there are 19 payments remaining because we're at the 30th. We haven't made that one yet. And you would be correct, but K excludes that current payment. So excluding the current payment, we have 18 more after that. That means that we need to go to the APR table, look up 18 payments, 5% APR. APR table, 18 payments, 5% APR. Those intersect at $4 per $100 of amount financed. That means that H is 4.00. We have K, we have R. So we have all the necessary ingredients for this recipe. And I do look at formulas as recipes. U is equal to, the top of this fraction is 18 times 454 times 4.00 divided by 100 plus 4.00. Calculator time. Now this is a dollar amount. It's unearned interest. It's money we're not paying in interest by paying off early. So it makes sense to round it to 2 decimal places. I got $314.31. I'm going to do the problem again. 18 times 454 times 4 divided by 104. $314. Come on, show the phone. Show the phone. Whatever. $314.31. So by paying off this Jeep when we get to the 30th payment, we would save $314.31. But that is just the unearned interest. That wasn't the only thing we were asked. We were also asked for the payoff amount. All right, so how can we figure out the payoff amount? Well, let's think about it. The payoff amount is what we still owe. Well, we could do the total installment price. Or rather, yeah, let's say total installment price. Take away the down payment because we already paid that. Take away the monthly payments. Actually, let's do it this way. There's an easier way to do this. We could do the number of remaining monthly payments. I was making it harder than I had to. But remember, all of the remaining payments include all of the interest that we were going to pay. We don't owe that unearned interest anymore. So we can subtract the unearned interest from this because we don't owe that anymore. How many monthly payments do we have left? There's where we got to be careful. We are at the 30th payment, but we haven't made it yet. We're about to pay off the whole thing. So we've paid the first 29 payments. So 48 minus 29 is how many payments we still have left. Again, we haven't made the 30th payment yet. We're at the 30th payment. K is the number of payments after that. So really, I guess you could say that this is K plus 1, because we still have to make those payments plus the current payment. Or you could think of it as there are 48 payments I have to make, and I've only made 29 so far. Those payments are $454 each. And we are saving, left out a dollar sign here, we are saving $314.31 in unearned interest. So that would be 19 payments that we haven't made yet. Remember, we're at the 30th, but we haven't made it yet. Times 454 minus 314.31. And I just wanted to show you the 19 there to illustrate 19 payments left. 19 times 454 minus $314.31 is a payoff amount of $8,311.69. It's not, I hate to say it's not rocket science, but I also hate to say it's just common sense, but it's a lot of numbers to keep up with. So let's just quickly reflect what happened. We figured out the APR 5%. We needed that for the unearned interest formula. Using the APR table, our H was 4.00, the 5% APR, and the 18 remaining payments beyond the current payment. We're at the 30th payment. There were 48 payments, so we would have 18 more after that. We stuck them in the formula for the unearned interest, got $314.31. So the payoff amount is how many payments I still owe minus the interest that I don't owe anymore. I still owed 19 payments because I had only paid 29 payments up to that point. 48 minus 29 is 19. 19 payments of 454 minus the unearned interest gave us the payoff amount. Is it a lot of hoops to jump through? It is. But I hate to say this, it is what it is.